Welcome to 101. I'm Greg Bassett, your host for the Salisbury Independent newspaper. Believe it or not, the holiday season is coming up on us, and to talk about our favorite activity of the pre-holiday season, the gift of the Magi, we have Bonnie Luna. Welcome, Bonnie.
Good morning, Greg. What a joy to be with you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Now, this is the thing I look forward to every year. It gets us all in the mood. Tell me about your event.
Well, we're really excited because this is our 25th anniversary celebration. It's also, Greg, our grand finale. So we are really excited that this year we're going to be able to just pull everything together, do a wonderful concert, and say thank you to 25 years worth of audiences and participations and all those things. So it's
I read
exciting.
I read this in the Salisbury Independent, but I, like most things in the Salisbury Independent, I didn't believe it. This really is going to be the last year for the Magi.
This not the Magi Fund,
I understand that.
but the
for
Magi Chorale Fest.
For the Chorale Fest.
Yes.
Right. Why? This upsets me. Of course, I don't have to put it on, so I can say this. But
Well, we don't want anyone to be upset. We really just believe that it's time to let it go. When we did 15 years of choral festivals, we said, oh my, if we could just make it until 20. And then we got to 20 years and we said, oh, if we can only make it to 25. And here we are at the 25th anniversary. And what was really interesting is we started planning this year's choral festival. And in my heart, I just felt like this was the year that we really should let it end. And one day I picked up the phone and I called each member of our executive committee. And I asked them what their thoughts were. And every single person on the committee said, I have that same thought in my heart, that this really should be our final choral festival. And so we just really believe that God has given us confirmation that it is time to let this choral festival gracefully come to an end. It doesn't mean that we won't do other things to fundraise for Joseph House and Christian Shelter. We will certainly continue to do that. We're looking for God to just redirect us, but the choral festival as we do it now is a huge undertaking.
I don't know how you do it.
It is a big responsibility, and it takes a huge amount of time and energy and willpower just to step in there and do the things that have to be done. It's not that we don't want to continue doing something, but we just want to do this one last choral festival, and then we'll put our heads together and see what we'll do down the road.
And you'll come up with something even bigger and better, I know.
Well, bigger I don't know.
Well, it's not like there's any lack of support for this. This thing's really, still really popular.
It is, and I'll tell you, Greg, it has been so gratifying to hear people respond to the fact that we have chosen to let this be the last of the choral festivals. Hearing how much people really love this event, how they look forward to it every year, what a blessing it is to them, and how it sets the tone for their holiday season. It is a special thing, and it is a huge blessing for all of us that have been involved in it to hear how much it has meant to the community. Now, of course, for us, what it's really meant was the opportunity to go out there and raise funds for Joseph House Center and Christian Shelter. And knowing what we've been able to do for those two ministries is really what thrills our heart. And so it's an exciting year for us. I'm not sad. Some folks ask me, are you sad? And I'm really not, because I've got this great sense of joy in my heart and even some anticipation as to what God will lead us to do in the future for the benefit of the two organizations that we support.
But knowing you, at the end of that performance, you're going to be crying a lot.
Well, I tend to cry a lot anyway. I'm just one of those individuals that's very teary.
And
so.
you're not going to be crying alone.
Well, that would be good. I would appreciate having some company.
No, the intensity of something like that, I know the people who work with Rock and Roll Revival, there was just sort of a change of leadership in that a year ago because they'd done it 5 or 6 years. And it's so intense that you can't keep it up. I mean, you just have to let other new people come in and do things and find new things to do. And I completely understand that. It just 25 years is amazing.
Yes. And when we look back, on average each year there would be somewhere between 400, maybe 600 individuals participating in the choral festival, and that's basically on the stage, to say nothing about all the people behind the scenes doing all the planning and preparations and getting things ready. So if you multiply, just say an average of 500 people over 25 years, you get a real sense of how many lives have been impacted by this ministry. And then the fact that we've had, on average, 2,000 people coming to see the program each year. A lot of people have had their lives touched by the Magi Fund and the Magi Choral Festival. It's sort of astounding to me, and I've been there since day one, but I'm still astounded that God allowed us to do this for such a long period of time and so successfully. That's God's hand in it, and I really have to say, from the very idea of the Magi Fund coming into existence, it has been God's ministry. We have seen God's hand work in the most miraculous ways. When we couldn't get anything done, God always provided a way, resources, people. And so it's a real testimony of God's sovereign power over the ministries of Joseph House and Christian Shelter, and how He has provided for them through the organization of the Magi Fund.
You can feel it when you go to the concert. I always go there as Eeyore. I don't want to do this. I don't have time. And I walk out of there so inspired and so transformed every time. And I look at people around me and they're the same way. And even if you've been to it many times, it's almost like, going to the fountain. It's an amazing thing, and you come out of there feeling so good. So even on the most basic level, it's just a great event.
Well, Greg, if I could just tell you a little story about Sister Mary Elizabeth Gentling, who of course was the founder of Joseph House Center. 1 year after we had started having fairly large presence in our Magi Children's Choir, after one of the concerts, this young man came rushing up to me out in the lobby, and he said, "I've never been here before, but I want to tell you something." He said, "My kid's in this program, and that's the only reason I'm here." And it was sort of not somebody that you felt that was really going to embrace what we were doing.
Right.
He said, "But when that woman, that nun, walked out on the stage," he said, "I felt the presence of God."
Absolutely. She had an aura.
Yes.
She had a thing going on.
And he was so touched. I really felt that his life had been touched on that evening through the Choral Festival and Sister Mary Elizabeth. And that's really what the Magi Choral Festival has been all about: touching lives. Raising money, important, yes, but for every single individual who ever came and sat in one of the seats for the Choral Festival, we really wanted them to experience the presence of God, how He might work in their lives, how He was working in the community, and what a joyful thing it is to celebrate the birth of our Christ, to celebrate the birth of Jesus through our Christmas concerts.
Tell me what the Joseph House does now.
They do just about anything and everything that's possible to meet the needs of the impoverished. Of course, they have the Joseph House Center, which is a crisis intervention. That's where individuals, families come on a weekly basis. I think they're open a couple days each week, possibly 3. Individuals who have needs come to seek help. It may be financial, it may be somebody that is about to be evicted from their home or their apartment. Their utilities are about to be disconnected. They need some financial help. They will come for that. They will come because they're out of medicine. They come because they have no transportation. They come because there's a doctor's visit and they can't get there, or they can't afford to go. It doesn't matter what the need is. It could be food, it could be shelter,
Winter coat,
a winter coat,
blankets,
whatever it is. They come asking help from Joseph House, and Joseph House is there to assist them to the extent possible. And then, of course, we have the Christian Shelter, which houses homeless individuals, either a single man, a single woman, families, women with children. And the greatest population now that the Christian Shelter is seeing is in the family sector. More and more families are showing up at the doors of doors of Christian Shelter, asking for shelter for either a few days or for a month, whatever the need is. And Christian Shelter is there not just to give them a place to put their heads down to rest, but also to help them get their lives back on track, to help them find housing, employment, whatever their need is, and however the shelter can help them. Working with social services, working with other nonprofit organizations, both Joseph House Center and Christian Shelter really have a wonderful collaborative relationship where they work hand in hand with each other, and then out in the community to see what resources might be available to further help the individuals that they are either housing or trying to meet a need for.
Yeah, over the years I've been not criticized, but people say you write all about Joseph House a lot, but you don't write about Christian Shelter. But there's a privacy sort of aura about it, and a refuge sort of idea about Christian Shelter. So I've always been hesitant to write a lot of details about it, but I want people to know it exists, they can help it.
Absolutely, and what they do is really phenomenal. And in the numbers of individuals that they take in, they are quite most of the time they are at capacity. And we were talking about how things kind of change and transition. Christian Shelter has just gone through a period of transition, and they have a new board of directors. It's an amazing group of local professional and business men and women, and we're going to see a real, I think, transition there again. They want to expand their facility, their greater outreach to help these individuals. So it's a wonderful thing that is taking place at the Christian Shelter. The same thing with Joseph House. They not only have just the crisis center, but they have Joseph's Workshop, which is a ministry to homeless men, where they take, and it is specific to men, they take these men off the street and they put them in housing. It's a group housing project, and they can be there for up to 18 months, but they work with these individuals to transform their lives, not just give them shelter or clothing.
It's a program.
But it's a program to change their lives, and they have some remarkable success stories. It's just wonderful to hear how lives have been turned around, families have been reunited, men have become sober or they're off of drugs, they have jobs, their life has taken a turn, and now they're really living as productive citizens. So it's, there's so many facets to these ministries. It's a shame that we can't just describe totally everything they do, because that's impossible, because there are little things they do, and then there's gigantic things that they do. But every one of those efforts is for the welfare and the well-being of these individuals that they seek to help, that come to their doors.
When you came to town, how did you find out about these groups? How did you first get to know Sister Mary Elizabeth, and how did you decide that you wanted to be involved the way you are?
Greg, I couldn't possibly tell that story here today because it would take way too long. But I am going to give an abbreviated explanation at the Choral Festival. But I'll just give you sort of a thumbnail sketch. I did not know about Joseph House Center and Christian Shelter when God put it on my heart that I could do some good in this community. But it was God who really spoke to my heart that there were two organizations, Joseph House Center and Christian Shelter. And I had heard of them, but I had no relationship with them. And when my husband asked me, what are you going to do about what God has spoken to your heart? I have to tell you honestly, I said back to my husband, I'm not doing anything, nothing. And he said, what? And I said, no, it's too big. I couldn't possibly, I don't know what to do. I can't do anything. If that was on a Tuesday, on Wednesday, Lewis came home from work and said, Bonnie, you have an appointment to visit with Sister Mary Elizabeth tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock. I said, what? He said, yes, you're going to go visit Sister Mary Elizabeth. And I went. And I told her what God had placed in my heart. And she replied that if God had spoken that to my heart, that I should do it. But I should not expect her to do the work for me.
Wow.
And Sister Mary Elizabeth became my dearest friend and embraced the Magi Fund and the Magi Choral Festival totally. She loved everything we did. She loved the choral festivals. But God put us together in that way. It was just one of those things that God had already laid out, planned. And then the next step was Lewis suggested that I needed to go visit the Christian Shelter Board of Directors. And at the time, Dave Greer, I think, was leading that organization.
Great man.
And so made an appointment and went to see the board of the Christian Shelter, shared with them what God had really spoken to my heart. And they gave me the same sort of, you go ahead, reply as what I'd gotten from Sister Mary Elizabeth. And then how, I mean, I can't tell you, unless you've had that experience of God just putting an idea in your head.
I wish we could all have that experience, yes.
The next thing I knew, I said, well, we'll just do a choral festival. We can raise some money. And each piece of the puzzle went into place. In a 2-month period of time that first year, which was 1994, we started in September, and by November we had planned a choral festival. It sold out the first year. We only did one show. It sold out that very first year. It was an amazing event, and the rest is history, because it was such an exciting adventure. And for the first 10 years, we involved the community at large, and high schools, elementary schools, both the Salisbury University and UMES choral programs participated. We had the community choirs.
It was perfect for them because they were all looking for an outlet.
Yes.
And so there was like a local outlet for that now. Yeah.
I will tell you that for that very first year, we had no funding, and we went to the Community Foundation and asked the Community Foundation if they could help us. The Community Foundation gave us a $1,500 grant that first year, and that was the money that got us off and running. We also went to Morgan Hazel at Pepsi, and actually it was probably Morgan and Dick back then.
Right.
And they became our first corporate sponsor. Pepsi's been with us for 25 years.
That's great.
And then the next year, I think Arby's, Tom Hershey joined us as a corporate sponsor, and we've just been blessed to have just a few, 3, 4, 5 corporate sponsors each year, which help cover our costs, because we made a commitment from the very first day that if we were going to do this, every penny we raised as a ticket sold or anyone giving us a contribution, no matter how small, how large, any contribution that would come into the Magi Fund, any ticket that would be purchased to go to a concert or any other event that we would hold, 100% would go to these 2 charities. So if we were going to do something, we had to find corporate sponsors, or then it became advertisers in our program,
Right.
to help us pay the expenses of whatever we were doing, because we wanted to say, Greg, if you will buy a ticket for $15, $7.50 will go to the Joseph House, $7.50 will go to the Christian Shelter. You can know that every penny that you give will be used to benefit these two organizations, and in turn, the impoverished and the homeless in our community. So that has been just a commitment we made, and it's been a beautiful, beautiful thing to see how generous the community has been. I did some calculations because it is our 25th year, and was shocked to find out that over a period of 25 years, we've raised about $1.8 million.
Wow, congratulations, Bonnie.
Thank you.
Wow.
And that was done with all volunteers, no office, no professional staff.
No, the office is your dining room table.
We work right on, and other folks. Virginia Layfield was one of our most dedicated founding individuals, and we worked off of Jenny's table and Peggy Palmer's table and my table and anybody else's table that would open up their home for us when we needed to have a meeting or whatever. So it's been an incredible 25 years of watching God do what we as humans couldn't possibly have done, to see God provide the resources, inspire individuals, giving us creativity that was just phenomenal, and bless the community. We had for many years our own Magi orchestra, which was put together and conducted by our dear friend.
Our dear friend Charlie Smith.
So we were really blessed for many years to have our own Magi orchestra, which was conducted and arranged and managed by Charlie Smith, a wonderful individual. Our very first choral festival, and this was another one of our amazing God moments, was the Salisbury Symphony Orchestra agreed to participate in that very first concert. So we've been just so blessed, and we're going to be blessed again this year because we're going to have not the Salisbury Symphony Orchestra, although we would have loved to have had them. Their conductor
No, you're
is
going to have
on
something
sabbatical.
much better. You can say that.
No, it's not much better, but
It's different.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's absolutely different. Symphony 21, which is a new little creative group here in Salisbury, put together and conducted by Daniel Bowen. We'll have Symphony 21 with us, providing another element to the Choral Festival. Of course.
Well, I was thinking the National Christian Choir.
Well, and the National Christian Choir will be back, as well as our Magi Children's Choir.
They get your blood going.
Yeah, it'll be an exciting program.
Give me all the details, dates, times, if you have that in your head.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It will be Saturday, November 17th, and Sunday, November the 18th. Saturday's concert is at 7 o'clock. Sunday's
It's that
concert at 2.
weekend before Thanksgiving when you
Weekend
don't have
before
anything to
Thanksgiving.
do anyway. So it's a good weekend.
It's a great weekend to come out and support the ministries of Joseph House and Christian Shelter. This will be a huge blessing for everybody that comes. Tickets are available at all branches of First Shore Federal. That's all over the shore, and at the Country House. We have a mailing list. We've sent out ticket order forms to our mailing list. We've put bulletins out and posters in our churches. But if for some reason somebody hasn't been touched in some way by one of these opportunities to buy a ticket, they can always call me. People call all the time. I love hearing voices say, "Can I get a ticket to the Choral Festival?" So anybody that hasn't had another opportunity can call me, and I'm sure we have that information. It's Bonnie Luna at 410-749-1633.
Well, I don't know how you do it because it always sells out, but you find a way to get everyone a ticket. I don't know how you do that either.
You know what? There's again, it's amazing how God fills all those seats. We've never turned anyone away. I hope that will be the case this year. I hope everybody that has a desire to be at the Magi Choral Festival for this 25th anniversary finale celebration will be able to be there.
That's going to be, is it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
No, it's just Saturday evening at
Just the
7.
Saturday, just the one,
And then Sunday at 2.
Sunday at 2. So
17th and 18th of November.
so if I want to go to the one where everyone's going to cry and it's going to be like, this is really it, this is the big one, this is the end, do I want to go Saturday or Sunday?
Well, that would probably be Sunday.
So that'll be the higher emotion day, or will you guys be really emotional both days?
I think really it'll be the same, because the individuals that are with us on Saturday evening, that will be the finale for them. And on Sunday, those individuals will experience the finale as well.
Are you accepting ideas from people about what you all should be doing next?
Well, absolutely.
I mean, it's not like you can have like a golf tournament or anything now. You're going to have to do something really big.
Well, and I'm looking for volunteers. So, Greg, it sounds like maybe you're going to.
I might be tapped for this.
Yes, this is great. I think God really does have a plan, and He's going to roll it out, and we will all be really excited to see how God is going to be able to use the Magi Fund, possibly putting together a different venue and a different group of leaders. So it is exciting. It is exciting when you're trusting God and just letting Him lead.
She's Bonnie Luna. She puts together the Magi Chorale Festival every year, and again, it's coming up here in November, and it's the last year, so we're going to miss it, but she's going to come back with something even better for our community. We can't wait. Bonnie, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Greg.
I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent Newspaper, another edition of 101 right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and one-on-one. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.